All right, so we're a couple minutes past the hour. Thanks everybody for joining us. Good morning to everybody on the West Coast and good afternoon to everybody on the East Coast. Welcome to the Contentful plus IntelligenceBank webinar. Today you're going to learn how a partnership and integration between IntelligenceBank and Contentful can help teams to work better together, faster, and more efficiently. Just quickly, on an agenda front, we will only take about 20 to 30 minutes of your time. We're going to start with some brief introductions. Then we're going to go through a brief overview of the Contentful and IntelligenceBank solutions, followed by a demonstration of how the IntelligenceBank and Contentful platforms work well together, along with workflow, and finish off with a Q&A. So I'll dive in here. First of all, my name is David Porter. I'm the SVP of Corporate Development at IntelligenceBank. I've been with the organization for about 8.5 years now, and really happy to be talking to you today about our awesome partnership with the Contentful people. Nick, I'll pass it over to you.
Great, thanks, Dave. Yeah, happy to be here today. I'm a solution engineer at Contentful, so I work really closely with our customers to build out content management solutions and help them think more broadly about how Contentful fits into their ecosystem. Been at the company for about 1.5 years, been in the CMS space for the past 15 years or so. So I'm excited to dig into this a little bit more with Dave today. All right, and we'll jump right into it with just a little bit about both of our platforms. Then, like Dave mentioned, we'll really get into the meat of this thing and talk about how we work together and what that looks like. So, just some high level, if you aren't familiar with Contentful, we are a composable content platform. And, the idea behind that is to bring the building blocks of content together to create content once and then reuse that across all of your digital experiences. So we're an API first platform, and it's all about integrating easily with data sources and any new functionality you might bring in as your digital experiences and technology evolve. So obviously we'll be digging a lot into that integration side today. Outside of that, I think the things that really distinguish a composable content platform from just like a headless CMS or a traditional CMS are some of these concepts of built-in orchestration to share and collaborate across teams, across regions, brands, markets, kind of like whatever that might mean for your organization. A really robust app ecosystem, again, digging a lot into that today with the IntelligenceBank app. And then the app framework, which is what that app's built on top of, that allows our customers to really easily extend our platform and allow their teams across the business to work together a lot more efficiently. So, ultimately, it's about unlocking the power of your digital content so that your content can become a strategic business asset rather than just the thing that you're kind of frantically copy and pasting between experiences. You go to the next slide here, Dave. Thank you. So, I mentioned composable content a few times in that last slide, and I always like to dig into that a little bit more because not everyone's familiar with that concept. And so what it comes down to is just thinking about content as more than words and images on a page. Like, it's really focused on this idea of structured content that can be aggregated from any source. And ultimately that structure is deconstructed and organized into atomic text, images, graphics, sounds, data, whatever that might be, that really makes up the key elements of your content. And by doing that, you're able to easily integrate and connect with other systems and tools so that you can reuse your content for any audience in any context. And it's an approach to content that's centered on building content once and then making it accessible and reusable for multiple teams, multiple markets, and across multiple channels and devices. So I think you'll hear that theme emerge a lot from what I'm talking about today. That's just like create once, reuse everywhere, because what that's going to do is enable teams to work faster and more efficiently so that they can drive more value from their content lifecycle across all of their customer touch points. And, similar to how technology has evolved, like we're talking about how Contentful has evolved in that CMS space, like the way teams work has also evolved. And composable content really supports and enables that new way of working. So, first, teams want to be empowered to work independently, but also coordinate. Second, teams don't want to be bogged down by time-consuming tasks and manual processes. They want to be able to automate and interconnect. Again, I think a big part of our webinar today will be focused on that. And finally, teams need built-in governance and guardrails to make sure the right teams are involved from content creation to delivery. And I think you'll really see a lot of that across both platforms that we're looking into today. You want to jump to the next one, Dave? Thank you. And so finally, like I've kind of been alluding to and said, Contentful is all about unlocking the power of digital content and, empowering your teams. And, what we see a lot is teams today work across content that's siloed, and the teams themselves often work in silos too. And, developers involved with those teams are buried under tickets to create complex and fragile workarounds to bring siloed content together into what might be considered like a pretty simple experience. And then the content teams and marketers who are actually using those systems all across the business, they can't create and iterate content at the pace they want to serve their customers in a timely and relevant manner, especially like at the pace that things are changing now, kind of in the world we live in. So when we say we want to unlock the power of digital content, like we want to cut through all of that complexity and inefficiency and just make it easier to connect, create, and extend all of your content across all of your experiences. So, that means orchestrating content across many different regions, brands, and teams, making the creation and iteration of content smoother and faster because we're providing teams with those easy to use tools to edit and launch content on their own to make sure they get it in front of the right people at the right time. So, at the end of the day, I'll wrap up here and kind of pass over to Dave, but like what we're really all about is enabling flexibility and extensibility through that ecosystem of apps, integrations, and partners like IntelligenceBank to make sure we can meet any business or customer need. So from there, that's the high level on Contentful. Always happy to dig in if anyone would like to reach out individually, but Dave, I'll pass it over to you to talk a little more about IntelligenceBank.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate that. That was great. So a little bit about IntelligenceBank for those who aren't familiar. IntelligenceBank is a leading marketing operations platform. It's founded in 2009. We work across 400 brands in 55 countries, offices in Australia, the US, and Canada. We have a follow the sun support. So really, we talked a lot about content, we've talked a lot about content and where that lives, and that lives in digital asset management capabilities of IntelligenceBank. But we also offer much more than that, an extension marketing system of record that allows you to improve your go-to market efficiency, performance, and content compliance. So if you take a look at a marketing system of record, we believe, sales needs a CRM, finance needs a general ledger, retail needs an ERP, and marketing needs IntelligenceBank. So what we're all about is helping marketers to get great work out the door quickly, that's on brand and legally compliant. Again, at the center of that, we've got our digital asset management capabilities within the IntelligenceBank platform. And that enables people to manage content very effectively across the enterprise. But there's much more to it than that when it comes to working with IntelligenceBank. We allow you to start from ideation or the creative process with our briefs and projects capabilities, workflows and approvals that enable you to ensure that things are on brand and compliant with whatever regulatory approvals are needed, and also distribution of that content out through connections like the one that we have with Contentful, through brand portals that can either be public facing or behind a login, as well as reporting and analytics so that you can make sure that you're getting the most out of your platform. So transforming marketing operations, we like to see ourselves as bridging the gap between marketing efficiency, compliance, and performance. So from an efficiency perspective, with the explosion of digital content, how do we help to manage that process from ideation or creation right through to the digital distribution? So what are the key steps that are associated with that? And then how do we look back and ensure, okay, did these things go through the appropriate approvals process? And how do we have an audit history so that if we need to recall content, we can do that quickly and efficiently? And that's where intelligence sits, is right at the center of that, of those two things, compliance and efficiency. So we'll head over to one last thing. So we believe that we're better together. So with IntelligenceBank and Contentful, we think that you need more than a CMS and a DAM. You need a composable content platform in Contentful and a marketing operations platform in IntelligenceBank that work seamlessly together. And the next section here, we'll go through and we'll describe a scenario that we've put together to exemplify exactly how both IntelligenceBank and Contentful accomplish that together.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Dave. I'll just kind of lay out the scenario here before we dig in. And what we'll be doing is, Dave's going to fill the role of our creative director. I'll fill the role of our marketing manager, and we're working for Colorful Coin, a tech company who is working to get some announcements out about a new mobile app that we're launching. And so I've got all my content written. I'm just waiting on some assets that need to get approved through our creative department that, Dave's going to take us through that process and show us what it looks like to get those things all the way through. And then I'll jump in and use those assets in our new web collateral to make sure we get this thing out on time.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that. So yeah, just to reiterate, I'm going to demonstrate the role of the asset producer who needs to create and publish that content while ensuring it goes through those approval process. But we're also going to start with the promotional director who's going to make a submission. And then Nick will take us through the contentful piece that he just described. So here you can see the IntelligenceBank landing page. So entirely customizable from both a branding and from a functional perspective. Is meant to help direct people to the appropriate areas of the site. As a promotional director, I've come in and I need to submit a new design brief for Colorful Coin. I can come into the project management area and you can see here that we've got several different briefs and tasks that can be executed directly from this page. I'm looking for the design brief. And so I'm going to create a design brief as the promotional director. Within this environment, I can put in the project details, name, any sort of in-market information, brand that it's associated with, all those sorts of good things that the creative manager is going to need to execute on this particular task. Once that is completed, the creative manager is going to receive a notification that they have work that they need to complete. As a creative manager, I prefer to work out of my dashboards area of the platform. So this is the area where I can assemble all of the information that is pertinent to my role in the organization. So if it's a creative manager, I want to see what's happening with different projects, things that need to be executed on, deadlines that are approaching, those types of things. As a creative designer, I may only want to see my own work. So for the purposes of this demonstration, we've created the Color Coin projects dashboard, which just has this one project in it. I can see some details about that project, and then I can go directly to the record to have a look at this and make sure that we are assigning the appropriate tasks to complete that within the required deadline. So within this design brief area, this is what I previously showed you not filled out. Now we've got it filled out. So we've got a project name with the request, the brand, the target market, all this sort of good information here. Within this same environment, I can go ahead and assign tasks. So as the creative manager, I'm not the one that's actually going to be doing the work. I have a team that does that. So I'm going to select the brief task and I can assign any tasks that I need to the appropriate people. So if I want to assign a new task to develop here, to develop these assets, I can put the task name in, assign it to an owner directly from here and select all the required fields. That will help them to manage their tasks within their own personalized dashboard, as well as within a Kanban view if they need to move projects around as they progress in their workflow. Just going to exit here and move back over to the design brief. So once the design brief is completed, the creative designer will go ahead and upload the assets directly to the record that is associated with the task. Okay, so we can see here we've got the GoCoin promo hand. So in this particular instance, I've pre-filled 2 revisions. So I've got revision 1, which was the original request. We can come through our proofing and markup comments tool, and we can make requests for change to this asset back to the designer. And it can go back and forth through this workflow as many iterations as is necessary until the desired asset is created. So we can see, please rotate slightly and brighten. Okay, this is completed. Please have a look and let me know. So we can take a look at revision 2. The asset's been rotated. This is what I was looking for. Fantastic. Okay, from this same environment now, I want to publish this out to my DAM so it's available for use by the Contentful connector. In order to do that, all I need to do is directly from the record, select publish to folder. I can select the GoCoin app release folder, which has been created to manage all the assets associated with this promotion, and then continue. There is an approvals workflow that's placed on this particular folder that will have it go through a workflow, whether it's for the CMO to look at, for the creative manager to approve, for the compliance team, whoever is the necessary people that need to approve this. That is who it is going to route to. So it will come into this approvals dashboard area, which is again connected to the IntelligenceBank DAM. It will sit in the staging environment prior to being made go live in order to make sure it receives the necessary approvals. So we can see here that we've got it pending. I can review the request by selecting this toggle here. And I'm taken again back to that marketing comments area. It's a little bit different in that it has the ability to then approve and provide the audit history here before it lands and lives in the folder. So I can see here, if I want to mark this up and send it back through for additional changes, I can do that. And I can have the same mentioned capabilities that I had and the same revision capabilities that I showed you previously. Or I can just go ahead and accept this as approved content. So approved for use. Okay. And then I can complete that request and submit the response. Now that will take that piece of content, place it in the asset library in the folder that it is going to live in, and make it available for use within the Contentful connector. So this GoCoin app release, here it is. We can see in the audit history or the approvals history that this has been requested. It's been approved for use. Fantastic. So now I'll pass it over to Nick, who will take you through the Contentful side of things from here, now that he has his approved content ready.
All right, good deal. Thanks, Dave. Let me get my screen share up here. All right, I think we're good to go. So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, now we're gonna take those assets that were just created and approved through the whole process in IntelligenceBank and use those in our press release and in a homepage banner that's going to be supporting our release. So I can see I'm logged into Contentful as the reviewer that needs to check that stuff out and get the assets added. And I've got a couple tasks available to me here. So I'm going to get started with our press release, jump into that. And, I can see here's my task that is letting me know what I need to do. I'm going to jump down and see here I need to add a featured image from IntelligenceBank. I will pop that open, and that's going to drop me right into that same asset library that Dave was just working in. So I can see here's our GoCoin app release folder. I've got one banner that was kind of already approved, and looks like everything's good to go there. So last thing I can do is just pop open a quick preview to make sure this thing actually looks good on the page. Looks fine to me. So from there, I can complete my task, approve this thing in Contentful. And then finally, we want to make sure all this content goes out at the same time. So I'm just going to add this into a quick release, which we'll call our mobile app launch. So I will create that, add in all my draft content. And from there, you can see I've got my release ready to go. My content's approved, and we can move on to the next thing. So let's jump back to our tasks list here real briefly. And we can see the last thing we have to do is take a look at our homepage task. So we'll jump into the homepage. And in this case, we're making some updates to our hero banner. We're going to have a hero banner specific to this app launch because it's a pretty big event for the company. So you can see I've got a new draft banner sitting up here at the top of the page that I need to add my asset into. So jump in here, and similar to before, all I've got to do is just grab that asset straight from IntelligenceBank here in Contentful, include it on the page, see a preview like we saw before, and then jump back, look at a quick preview of the home page, and I can see that my banner's there with my approved asset looking good to go. So last thing I need to do is just remove my existing hero banner, close out my task because we're all set. We'll approve our page. And then finally, I'll add this into that same mobile app launch release that I just created while I was approving our press release. So get this all added in, include all of my draft and changed content. And now that I've got everything that's ready to go, I've got approved assets in it. I know the content's all good to go. So I want to make sure this is actually ready to release at the time we want to get this stuff out on the website. So the last thing I'm going to do is pop into our release that I created. You can see, here's our hero banner that we updated. Here's our article that we updated. We had some updates to the homepage. We can even see our workflow states over here. Everything's good and set. So I'm going to set a schedule for this release. We'll maybe set this to go live Monday at 8 a.m. We can set that schedule and rest easy knowing that we've got approved assets that everyone in the right seats have looked at. We've got approved content that everyone in the right seats on the content side have looked at. And all of that is scheduled to be released at exactly the time, we need this whole campaign to go live. So, as simple as that, you can kind of see like how seamless the experiences are when you've got these two apps sitting right next to each other, where, me as a content creator, like I don't need to be involved in that workflow. I don't need to be logging into another system. I can just jump right in here, get the assets I need, and know that I'm not going to have creative knocking on my door telling me that I used the wrong thing when this, multinational campaign goes live on Monday morning. So we're in good shape. Simple as that.
Thanks everybody for joining. We appreciate your time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And also to the team at Contentful, we really appreciate our relationship with you guys and with the power that we bring to the market together. So looking forward to many years to come.
Definitely. Sounds great. Thanks, everyone.
Take care, everyone.